Hello, and welcome to another episode of InnoRenovate Insights, the podcast where we delve into topics that impact our personal and professional lives. I'm Tristan, your host for today. In this special episode, we will be exploring a crucial topic that's shaping the job market and influencing both candidates and companies. Challenges in finding the appropriate talent, perspectives from candidates and companies. And joining me today is someone who needs no introduction, our very own CEO, Mr. Nitin Pandey, sir. Warm welcome, sir, and thank you for taking the time to join us today.
Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So, Nitin, sir, let's start by setting the stage. The job market today is quite different from what it was a decade ago. So, in your experience, how have the expectations from both candidates and companies evolved over the years?
Okay, so let's go one by one and let's talk about the candidates first. Uh, there is obviously the euphoria with the candidates, and there is a difference between how you see the candidates from, let's say, cities in India versus smaller towns. There is a big difference on the expectations and the needs, and also how they view the job market as. India has traditionally been for the candidates, especially from smaller cities and towns. People look forward to more of uh, public sector and government jobs, and they prepare more for exams and um, they the public sector entrance exams, or some people go a step forward to prepare for IAS. You'll see a lot of NDA preparation in some sectors, some cities in some areas. Vis-a-vis the larger cities where people, and especially the candidates, have opened themselves much more to a job in private sector. Now, what has happened in the last one decade is that the number of jobs in the public sector have come down or have not increased vis-a-vis the private sector, where the jobs have they continuously increase in various sectors. The another shift which has happened from candidates' perspective is that while the number of jobs in the private sector has increased, but the quality of jobs has actually come down. By when I say quality of jobs, it basically means the type of work that the candidates now earlier expected to do after passing out from the college vis-a-vis what they're doing now. There is a change, there is a shift. And the much has to do with the technology advancement. So the ability to learn has come down in the job, has come down, apart from learning the usual soft skills and how to deal with people and maintaining relationships. Other than that, the ability to create something out of the box, that has come down, or the opportunity has come down. But at the same time, the opportunities have opened in other sectors beyond technology, but that number is limited. So you will have startups, but then they will have very few people getting absorbed there in the job and doing something very meaningful. So this is a shift. The shift is that there is, from a candidate perspective, the number of jobs has increased overall, but the quality of jobs from candidates' perspective has come down. If you turn around the table to look from the organization perspective, the biggest, I would say, the complaint or biggest concern that organizations today have is on the same thing, quality of candidates also. So while the number of open positions is very large in private sector across the country, in India I'm talking about, they still struggle to fulfill, because they feel that people are not so much employable. In fact, the recent study by government of India itself suggested that 50% of the graduates from our country are not employable as it is. I mean, unless there is some value addition given to them. So education system doesn't make people completely ready. So that's the biggest concern. This is growing. This gap is growing in the last one decade. The quality of students has further come down as a percentage of the total students passing out.
Yes, sir. And it's also very interesting how both sides are more selective now. So, on that note, I would love to explore a common debate that is a college degree still as valuable as it was once, or has specific skills taken precedence?
See, this is a yes, you're right. This is an ongoing debate. So the skill versus education debate is always open and still is open. I think we should look at it. Most of the debate that happens is oriented towards westernized culture, Western countries, where this debate can be very, very important and very fruitful in how it materializes finally and manifests itself. But in India, the challenge of um, supply versus demand, the gap is still very huge. There's a lot of supply. And so what would companies do? Right? Most of the time, companies will have to have and this is a practical issue that I'm talking about. In India, the companies would have a education cutoff. Uh, and because if they don't have the education cutoff, then there'll be lots of people for any application who would probably apply. Um, so the education in India, from an entry perspective, retains its importance at two levels. One is just to get qualified to apply for a job. Second, the if you are getting educated from a tier 1, tier 2 colleges, whether it is undergrad or graduate, postgrad, if you are doing it from a tier 1 or tier 2 college, your chances of starting the career on the right foot is much more, because companies still rely. You will see a lot of advertisement especially in the private sector. You would see if people prefer people from tier 1 MBA institutes, or prefer people from tier 1 and tier 2 MBA institutes, or in same with engineering colleges, and same with other graduations and etc. Even on CA, chartered accountants, if you see, companies would write rank holders are preferred, right? So there is always this distinction. So these two levels, one, to get at least a foot in the door in terms of being qualified enough to be able to apply for a job. That's number one. Number two, on the quality, on the quality of the institute. So education has that importance. Now, having said that, increasingly the world is moving towards skill. And even if you are qualified educationally to a certain extent to get you an entry, your further progress in life will depend on how you are able to skill yourself into various options that are available for your growth. You see, the half-life of a skill is just 4 years maybe, which means every 4 years, the value of the skill that you possessed at the time of, let's say, starting your career or any point of time, after 4 years, the value of that skill will be down to half. That's how the rapid changes are happening in the world. And largely due to the changing consumer behavior, the changing economic situations, the changing geopolitical situation overall, and of course, the technology changes. So all these factors make the required skill at any point of time change rapidly, and the candidate or individual's ability to stay relevant is much more. And so skilling becomes a very, very vital part. So the hence the entry barrier remains education in India, and further progress, I think, is shifting completely to skills. How well you are able to reskill, cross skill, upskill, all these things play a very big role in furthering a career aspiration of an individual.
Yes, sir. It seems like the focus has shifted more towards what candidates do rather than just what they know. So now let's talk about it from the company's perspective. So when hiring, what are some of the critical skills and qualities that InnoRenovate looks for, especially to align with our organizational goals?
See, we basically, if you have observed, our there are some functional skills at a minimum level which we are looking at. depending on what level we are hiring. But let's say we are going in for a fresher hiring for our team. Let's start there, where the functional skills may not be so appropriate or not fully developed, and may not be fitting to our requirements immediately, and which we later on develop as part of the on-the-job or other trainings. I think the few things which are very important, since we are an HR consulting firm, few things for us are very important on the skill perspective is ability to communicate. When I say communicate, it's not about spoken language or something, but about how well you are able to bring across your point, either through written or on spoken side. And also how well you're able to articulate your points to the client, because we expose our team members to the clients very quickly. And for that, we need some kind of ready-made, ability, let me put it this way. Then there are certain functional or I would say peripheral skills, like, comfort with using of various IT applications. That's the minimum that we require. Then if you are on the functional side, you at least need to have some basic conceptual knowledge on the subject that you're pursuing or planning to pursue. But for me, the most important thing, which I think cuts the cake and which takes the whole thing to a next level, is if we are able to, during our process of hiring, if we are able to agree with all the other interviewers that the person has a willingness to learn and adapt. That's where I think we just close our eyes for all other things, because we strongly believe that a person can reskill himself or herself while working with us, but person should be willing to do it. So that is for me the most important part.
Okay, sir, that are some great points. So, sir, how do you see the balance between the hard skills and soft skills evolving in the future?
It's a old saying, hard skills get you a position on a job, soft skills gets you the growth in the organization. Both are important. People hired for hard skills usually get fired for soft skills or lack of it. And so they both have their important. You'll see people who get promoted in an organization or are given a larger leadership role, less and less, the dependence is on hard skills. It's more on softer skills. Hard skills are more, if I have to just clarify, hard skills when I say are more functional or technical skills that are required. But your growth in the organization, your acceptance with your colleagues, with your team, they are very largely viewed as soft skills, and ability for a person to have that and demonstrate those skills at the right level, right situations, plays a big role in the growth. So that's how I will like to see it. But hard skills are important. Not to say it's not important, but your growth in the organization is more on, I would see, people are getting, people may be technically and very sound, very adept, but if they don't have this good cocktail of soft and hard skill in their persona overall, they find it difficult to grow in the organization, to take on much more higher roles and positions.
Yes, sir. So a balance between hard skills and soft skills are very important. So now let's flip the perspective from a candidate's viewpoint. And as an intern myself, I find this particularly relevant. So what do you think they should prioritize when looking for an employer, or what are they really seeking?
What you mean from the candidate's perspective, what they should seek? Is that the
Yes,
question?
sir. Yes, sir. From an employer, what can they expect and what should they seek?
This can be answered in many ways. I would, some people look at some candidates or some, for them, it depends on their motivation also, which is at the moment for them at their prime. So for some people it would be money, for some people it could be learning, for some people it could be flexibility. These are some basic things which one or more of these are important. But if I were a candidate and I have to dial back myself 30 years back, and if I have to, or let me say, if God made me younger by 30 years today, what would I look at? And in the long term, since I have the benefit of experience on my side, I can say that your first focus generally should be to see a company which will give you opportunities to experiment, opportunities, and to make mistakes, learn. Everything else will fall in line over a period of time. Uh, if even if it's a if the seemingly mundane job that you're getting enrolled into initially, if there is a scope of learning within that, it'll help you in the in the future in your career. The career has to. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You take your speed high, low, depending on the situation. You take a kind of pause in your running space and things like that sometimes for various reasons. But it's a horizon of 20 to 25 years, and that's a picture that it's very difficult to see for a youngster. But at the end, that's how it will matter. The uh, the the journey has to be enjoyed. It should be full of challenges, excitement. You should look forward to go to office every day or to work every day. If any company is able to provide you these and this kind of environment, that's a company you should probably look for.
Yes, sir. That's really true. Now, let's move on to the last question, that is regarding aligning expectations. There seems to be a delicate balance here. Companies have certain expectations, and so do candidates. So, how do you think both parties can better align their expectations to create a successful match? And also, how can companies ensure that they are not just attracting but retaining the right talent?
Retention is, of course, from a company's perspective, biggest challenge. However, increasingly companies are getting more and more ready for this at two angles. One, they have limited their focus, or they've limited their energy more to people who are really great performers, or they really want them in future, good potential, good performers. Because let's face it and let's be honest about it. The management time is the most a manager's time is the most one of the most scarce resources available. So it's very easy for an employee to feel that my manager does not give me enough time, which may be true, by the way, that they're not able to give. But the fact is that managers' time is increasingly becoming very scarce because managers have multiple hats to wear, and they, even if they intend to spend time with their team members, sometimes they are not able to. So the companies have therefore, instead of spreading themselves too thin into thinking overall retention as a mechanism or as an initiative, they've started focusing on their high potential people, and they focus on retaining them at any cost or anything, and they would put focus and energy on those people. Those would be typically 10% people, or 10 to 20% people in the organization. They also have a radar on the bottom 5%. They really don't want them in the system for a long time. In the sense, they will either work on their development, but that's a focus. So their focus is split now. Now, that hence the expectation alignment that you spoke about. There is theoretically, yes, managers should spend time, that they should recognize, and all those things are very good. And some managers do it very well. Some companies do it very well. Some managers do it very well. But we cannot, as an employee, as if I'm an employee, I cannot bank on that to happen for me to grow. And that if it doesn't happen, what is my next step? That is what more important as an employee for me. And hence, the employees should take charge of their own career. It's very important. Which would that mean is sometimes you probably would have to knock the doors of your manager time and again to say that I want to learn new things. I want to do something different. And you may not be successful sometime. If you don't ask, the answer is no. If you don't ask for anything, the answer is always no. So it's better that you take charge of your own career rather than only being dependent on the company. Now, some companies do it wonderfully well. Most of the companies are not able to do it well, despite they may be, in fact, wanting to do it. But there are other factors, and on priority, sometimes this comes second. Okay. So, hence, employees may lose a chance if they only wait for companies to react.
Those are some great tips, sir, that can align to create a successful match. And this has been such an insightful discussion. Finding the right talent is indeed a challenge, but with the right approach, it's a challenge that can be overcome. We have explored the evolving job market, the balance between degrees and skills, and how companies and candidates can better align their expectations. So, sir, would you like to add on anything?
Nothing more to add, but I would really like to wish all the future aspirants of the jobs, various jobs, to focus on learning as their primary motive. The rest all will automatically fall in place. I'm talking from experience. Christian, it was wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much. I hope to do more such discussions with you in the future. All the best to you. Thank you.
A big thank you to you, sir, for sharing this insightful insights with us today. And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating. See you soon. Bye bye.